Today you guys are reviewing the Breville Joule Turbo Sous Vide Immersion Circulator. Now we're going over what it comes with in the package, the types of cooking vessels to use with it, and of course we're cooking sous vide hickory smoked salmon. So sit back and relax, let's do this. Before we get started, please support Blending with Henry by smashing that like and subscribe button, leave a comment, and visit me at blendingwithhenry.com. Your support is appreciated. So you guys, in case you were wondering, what the heck is sous vide, alright? So let's talk about that. Sous vide is French for cooking under vacuum. Now, you're actually cooking underwater. Your food is packaged in plastic bags or glass jars before submerging underwater. Now, best types of recipes for cooking sous vide are all types of meats, seafood, root vegetables, fruits, and custard-style desserts. Results are perfect every time, with no interaction during cooking. Now, sous vide is not something new, you guys. Chefs have been cooking via sous vide since the early 1970s. What is sous vide not for? It should not be used as a replacement for a crock pot, as it's not a best solution for making stews, soups, or simmering. And sous vide cooking does not sear meats. Once you finish sous vide cooking meats, such as steaks, they should be seared on a grill, oven, or cast iron skillet. And sorry, you guys, it's not a solution for cooking bacon. So what do you need for sous vide cooking? An immersion circulator, such as the Breville Joule Turbo. And you should get a vacuum sealer, though it's not necessarily required for certain things. For many uses, just standard food-safe Ziploc freezer bags will be all you'll need if you choose to do the water displacement method, which I will show you later in the video. Lastly, a cooking vessel. Now you may use a cast iron Dutch oven, a stainless steel stock pot, or a plastic tub, which is very commonly used for sous vide cooking. Let me show you how vacuum sealing works for sous vide. Here I'm pouring into a container leftover soup. I froze it solid and I'm placing it into a vacuum bag. And the sealer vacuums the air out. The same method used when preparing raw meats for cooking sous vide. Another example, I vacuum sealed some homemade chili. Vacuum sealing preserves your food for up to 2 years in the freezer without freezer burn. I've been doing it for many years. Now this is the basics of sous vide cooking by placing the uncooked vacuum sealed food into the vessel of water. Now here I'm simply reheating my chili after extended time in the freezer. Fresh and delicious. This is the actual box you get for the Joule Turbo. Breville sent me this unit for review without any requirement to say what they want to hear. So I'm covering everything. So, what's so turbo about it, right? Well, it's called turbo because it's designed to cook select foods at half the time of other immersion circulators, using an autopilot feature to fully automate the turbo cooking process. Now here are some features of the Joule Turbo. 1100 watts of power, super compact, has a magnetic base, and it includes a universal tub clip. This is how it's packaged inside the box. It includes the instruction manual and a mini ruler for measuring the thickness of meats before cooking. Stating the obvious, the Joule takes some design cues from Apple's products. It's simplified, but adds a beauty that's, in my opinion, above other competing circulators. And one of my favorite Breville features is the assistive plug that contains a hole to make it easy to pull out of the wall. The red circular ring is for starting the Joule Turbo while in manual mode. And included is a removable universal tub clip that fits most cooking vessels, but for larger cooking vessels and more flexibility, the optional jumbo clip snaps right in place and works with all vessel types, especially if you want to use a cooler as a cooking tub. Common with the majority of immersion circulators is the minimum and maximum markings for how much water to use. And on the opposite side is the exit hole where the heated water is expelled. At the bottom is a red magnetic base to support the Joule without the need for the mounting clip, which I think is one of the best features. Now the magnet is strong. The magnetic base is designed to be used with cooking vessels like this enamel cast iron pot. and it works with stainless steel pots that contain ferrous metal. I can tip over the pot with no worries of the Joule losing its position. This is what to expect when the Joule is sitting in a vessel of water not covering the exit hole. When sitting in vessels large enough to accommodate more water, the exit hole will be covered and the Joule performs more quietly. But you still hear a slight whine. The Breville Plus app is free to download with no additional fees from the App Store for iPhones or Google Play for other mobile platforms. And you can find it by scanning the QR code right in this video. Here is the Breville Plus app on the App Store. The older app for the Joule is not compatible with the Joule Turbo. The app allows you to connect your smart device to the Joule via Bluetooth, and the Joule also connects to your home Wi-Fi, so you may control and monitor all activity during cooking when you're away from home. So I'm going to open it up and you'll see some egg recipes since I am a yolk guy. Okay, now I have a few recipes on my favorite screen. I can't be certain, but I think the app gives recipe recommendations on what you frequently cook. Here's the Explore screen with different recipe categories. So I'm choosing beef, for example. Now notice the airplanes in the bottom right corners of each picture. That symbolizes that's an autopilot recipe, which is what the turbo feature is. Autopilot uses an algorithm based on the thickness and weight of the meat to adjust the cooking temperature. So often the recipes are done in half the time it takes for a typical immersion circulator. Now some will call this action delta cooking, but the Joule does all the work and thinking for you. Aside from steak, the second most popular beef choice is prime rib, so I'll choose that. The beginning screen shows the visual doneness of the prime rib roast and allowing you to see the results depending on the cooking temperature you choose. I made this lemon-infused cheesecake in a previous video using the Breville Hydro Pro Plus Circulator. Now, when is the last time you made a homemade cheesecake that was this dense from the outside edge to the middle? Often they are soft or soggy in the middle, and it happens when trying to avoid over-baking a cheesecake in the oven. Cooking sous vide makes that problem no longer a problem, you guys, and your recipes turn out restaurant quality. As I mentioned earlier, the visual doneness allows you to choose the temperature for rare as well as medium. Now the typical perfect doneness is medium rare, so we're choosing that for this example. We're going to run through this example really quickly. I'm choosing the amount of prime rib, which is 1, then weighing it, and the average weight is 6.5 ounces. Then the thickness, which on average is about 3.5 inches at its thickest part. Check this out, it's showing 2.75 hours to fully cook the prime rib. Now, for reference, here's the same size prime rib using the Innova Precision Cooker. At 132 degrees Fahrenheit, it takes 6 hours to fully cook the prime rib. The Joule Turbo cooks it in less than half that time, and the Joule has to start with cold water, so heating up the water is included with the cooking time. Alright, you guys, you ready? Let's sous vide cook a Hickory cold smoked salmon. On the Breville Plus app, I'm choosing the soft and juicy pink flesh at 122 degrees Fahrenheit. Don't get naughty on me, you guys. I didn't choose those words, okay? Then I'm choosing how many fillets I'm cooking, which is 1. Now I'm measuring the thickest part of the salmon fillet, which appears to be 1 inch. Next, I'm weighing the fillet, and it's 1 pound. The app now instructs to fill up the cooking vessel with water. Now, when doing turbo recipes, the water needs to be cold. It's pretty interesting because for other circulators, it's best to use hot water to start the cooking faster, but the Joule Turbo cooks quicker starting from cold water. Next, the app instructs to bag and season. Now I'm putting my own seasoning of lemon zest, dill, black pepper, and other special seasonings I'm not telling. Okay. Now, lemon zest is better to use than whole lemon slices as they will not overpower the fish. I'm using a food-safe Ziploc freezer bag because I will be using the water displacement method rather than vacuum sealing. Now, at this time, you want to add olive oil in the bag, about 1 tablespoon. Now, there are multiple reasons why this is necessary. Just look it up, okay? Now it's time to submerge the bagged salmon into the water. Now, this is called water displacement. Ziplocking 80% of the bag as you push the bag down to the water displaces the air out of the bag. Now, I go an extra mile, you guys, and keep 20% of the bag open during cooking. Some foods put out gases and air ends up in the bag. Keeping the bag partially open as you see me doing keeps the air displaced during the entire cooking process. Now this is the alternative to vacuum sealing. Now I'm draping a chain called chain mail over the salmon fillet. Now this ensures the bag doesn't float. Now it's important to be sure that the bag hangs outside of the pot. The chain mail protects it from sliding back in, but you can also use clips. Now I'm pressing start. Now notice the cook time shows 31 to 41 minutes. 31 minutes from cold water. There's a feature called prime time, and it lets you know how long you may continue cooking safely without any change to the quality of the food. So you may keep it hot if you're not ready to eat. Now that's what the 41 minutes is about. So from 31 to 41 minutes is when your food is safe and ready to eat before shutting off the Joule Turbo. Winding down to the last few seconds of cooking. Notice the cooking temperature is 133 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the turbo raising the temp for faster cooking. Now the cooking is complete. Now because of the prime time feature, I can keep it cooking until the designated time without overcooking. But I'm choosing to stop it at this point. The salmon is fully cooked and looks amazing because I made it, okay? Alright, so I'm cutting it in half so you can see how the flesh looks inside. Now it's perfectly done inside and out. I've never been able to achieve this on the stove or in the oven. Now I'm breaking it apart so you can see how juicy, flaky, and tender it is. Now with Sous Vide, it's always 100% evenly cooked. But we're not finished yet. Now I'm going to smoke the salmon using the Breville Smoking Gun Pro. I'll show you more about this device in a later video. I'm putting a small amount of hickory chips in the chamber. All I have to do is light it up and turn it on. Now this is called cold smoking. When smoking salmon on a barbecue grill, it tends to dry out the salmon. You have to cook on a very low heat to reduce that happening. Cold smoking does not dry it out, so you lose no flavor or texture of your salmon. After sitting in the smoke for 10 minutes, it's ready, and it makes for a nice presentation for your party guests. Dinner or theater, right? For sandwiches, like this fresh brioche bread with whole grain mustard, alfalfa sprouts, a thick slice of heirloom tomato, and garnished with fresh dill, there's really no need to sear the salmon. Now that I have shown you guys the Breville Joule Turbo Sous Vide, I have some thoughts. It's 100% app-based, so there's no onboard screen to operate it. The trade-off is it's well built and perhaps the best in its class. Now I have some thoughts about the app though. From the Explore menu, let's start with the beef section. Now I mentioned to you about the little airplane in the bottom right corner of each picture. It symbolizes the turbo feature. Not every recipe has the airplane, so no turbo for those. Also, there's some missing pictures of the recipes. Now this may be fixed in a later update. Let's check out the vibrant veggie section. Now, if you notice, there are no airplane icons in any picture here. This means neither of these recipes can be used with the turbo feature. Now, I will be fair on this one, you guys, because often veggies require a higher temperature close to the maximum of 194 degrees Fahrenheit of the Joule, so that may make them impossible to be turbo recipes. Let's check out the sweets section. Again, you will notice there are no turbo recipes here. Like veggies, desserts require a high temperature close to the max. As you can see, this delicious looking cheesecake recipe requires 176 degrees Fahrenheit. There's a special My Cook section that displays my favorites with the same beautifully detailed pictures, which I like. Kind of a nice way to remind you to make the same delicious recipes again. On the opposite, the Last Cook section leaves a lot to be desired. Notice the words manual cook. Those are recipe cook times and temps I use for recipes outside the app. There's no way to add the name of that recipe that I cooked at that time. Makes it difficult to remember what it was I actually cooked. Now you also cannot add pictures of your recipes. The Other section is sublabeled Everything Else. But what it is are a curated rehash of the same recipes buried in the Explore section. It's not a bad thing, but I don't see the point of it. And lastly, towards the bottom of the home screen shows the Events and Classes section. One of my favorite binges is watching Chef Dave on YouTube. And yes, you have to watch these videos on YouTube. They are not built into the app. But you're watching me on YouTube, okay? So it shouldn't be an inconvenience, okay?
Bourbon, homemade, brandied cherries.
The Breville Joule Turbo is perhaps the best in class of immersion circulators. It's small, lightweight, and easy for storing. The build quality is amazing. The Breville Plus app is second to none, but with a few gotchas. Alright you guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. And if you would like to purchase the Breville Joule Turbo and support me, please use my links below the video or my links on blendingwithhenry.com. See you soon.